Living in the Colorado mountains in 2026 is one of those things that looks amazing from the outside. And honestly, a lot of it is amazing, but it's not perfect. So that's what this video is going to be, the real pros and cons of living in the Colorado mountains in 2026. Not the postcard version, not the doom and gloom version, just what I've actually seen after living here, working here, and building my life. Let's start with the first pro, and for me, this is probably the biggest one. It's the healthy lifestyle, right? When I first moved out here, I thought I was in pretty good shape. Then I moved to Colorado and realized, oh, there's levels to this. One of the first things I noticed was just how much people here love being outside. And the ski culture is what really opened my eyes. There are people here who ski over 100 days a season. You think about the average American, they're probably getting 5 ski days in a season if they're lucky. They go on one big ski trip with their friends or family, they ski for a week, and that's their season. But when I moved out here, I got thrown right into the ski bum lifestyle. Stephanie and I had moved out here to take a break from life for a little bit, and I was working at the Doubletree as a valet. One of the perks that I got as working as a valet was I got the Epic Pass for the ski season. Thank you, Vail. I think I put in somewhere around 50 to maybe 60 ski days that first year. And I remember thinking, damn, that's a lot of skiing. But what was really cool is I got so much better that season because I basically fit 10 or 12 normal ski seasons into one winter. My skills progressed so fast because I was just out there all the time. And then I'd be following new friends around, people I had met locally, and some of them were in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, and they were skiing over 100 days a year. And I'm not talking about cruising the green groomers at the bottom of the mountain. I'm talking about going all the way up to Imperial Chair, which is the tallest chairlift in North America, where I'm sitting there like, this person is 70 years old and absolutely ripping harder than me. Unbelievable. And then the summer comes around and it's the same thing, just different toys, right? You're talking mountain biking, hiking, lake days, paddleboarding, fly fishing, whatever it is that you're into, people are here for the lifestyle, and that lifestyle keeps you moving. It is hard to be sedentary here if you surround yourself with the right people. Now, the first con is tied directly to that same thing. And this is going to be the altitude. The altitude is what gives us these incredible mountains, beautiful landscapes, and terrain that most people are just not used to seeing in their normal day-to-day life. But that same altitude, unfortunately, can be tough on your body. If you're older or you've struggled with breathing issues, heart issues, asthma, or anything along those lines, you need to pay attention to this. I've seen people come up here from sea level who are athletes, people who are in great shape, and they still don't acclimate properly. Altitude sickness is a real thing. Headaches, fatigue, nausea, loss of appetite, not sleeping well, shortness of breath. It can certainly mess with people, even those who are extreme athletes. And even if you live here, it can still affect what you do, right? I have asthma, and one of the hardest activities for me out here is mountain biking, and I absolutely love it. I'll do it until the day that I die. But when I'm climbing up a steep hill in Breckenridge, sometimes above 11,000 feet, I can feel it. Mentally, I could go all day, but physically my body's like, hey, buddy, there is not as much oxygen up here as you think. So if you have asthma or breathing issues, just understand that some activities can certainly be tougher here. Now, there are ways people try to mitigate it. Drinking a ton of water definitely helps. Avoiding alcohol when you first get here helps. Being careful with coffee helps because dehydration is a big deal. Eating helps, and I've heard from a lot of people that carbs can help at altitude. So if you're on some strict low carb diet and you get here and feel terrible, maybe have the pizza, have the pasta. This is not medical advice. Talk to your doctor. But that's what I've seen and heard from people over the years. The other thing is you need to give your body time. So I always tell people, don't come here for 2 days, feel bad, and immediately decide you could never live here. If you have flexibility, come spend real time here. I'm talking 3-4 months, maybe longer if you can, especially if you're a remote worker. Test it, right? Just let your body adjust to see how you feel after you've actually given yourself a fair shot. For most people, they acclimate just fine, but for some people, the altitude is a deal breaker, and you want to know that before you buy a mountain home. And that's what I'm here to do, is just provide you with the real talk. Now, let's go to another pro, the winter, right? Winter out here is awesome. It's the main reason people move out here. If you love snow, the Colorado mountains are extremely hard to beat. Here in Colorado, you get real snow. You get storms, you get powder, you get those bluebird days after a storm where the sky is crystal clear, the sun is out, the snow is soft, and everybody in the mountain is just hooting and hollering because it's one of those days that you remember for a lifetime. And if you live here, you don't have to ski all day. That's another thing people don't realize. When locals say they ski 100 days, that doesn't mean that they're out there from open to close every day. A lot of times you go ski for 30 minutes or an hour, and then you go back to work. I've personally done that plenty of times. And then after skiing, the Opry lifestyle, just fun. Hot tub, sauna, local rec center, happy hour, drinks downtown, food with friends. Sometimes the best part of skiing isn't even skiing, it's the Bloody Marys. Now here's the con, winter. Winter's a lot, right? I know I just said that winter is one of the best parts of living here, and it certainly is, but winter can also be one of the hardest parts of living here, depending on how you're wired. The good news is, because we live in the mountains, we are prepared for the snow. We have serious snow removal equipment. When it snows here, people are on it. Typical storm can be 8 inches all the way up to 24 inches plus. And when the snow is blowing sideways, the highways are congested, there's an accident somewhere, it can turn into an absolute mess. My family tends to just stay inside when storms get bad. We plan ahead, we get the groceries, get everything done, and then when the storms hit, we're good. That's how you live here like a local. So yes, winter is incredible, but it's also long, it's real, and it can be stressful at times. At the worst, winter can start in late September or October and linger into June. If you're not used to a long winter, that's obviously going to be mentally hard. And I don't say that to be doom and gloom. I say it because I want you to know what you're getting into. Now, another huge pro is the sunshine and summer weather. People love to say Colorado gets 300 sunny days a year. Technically, that number gets debated depending on how you define a sunny day, but the lived experience is real. And then summer, I'll just say it. I think Summit County has the best summer in the country. I know I'm biased, but I challenge you, try to find a better one. Hear me out. It usually doesn't get above 80 or 85 degrees. Most days are in the mid 70s. It's sunny, dry, warm, but not hot, and perfect for being outside all day. You wake up, the weather is good, and you go do something. It sounds simple, but it changes your entire lifestyle. Now, the con that comes with this lifestyle is the cost of living. We live in a very desirable place with a limited supply of homes and rentals. So it's just economics 101. Low supply, high demand, prices go up. And when real estate is expensive, that trickles into everything else. If the average home across Summit County is around that $1 million range, then the people providing services here also need to make enough money to live here. So plumbers cost more, landscapers cost more. You see where I'm going with this. I mean, that's just the reality of living in the mountains. Colorado does have a relatively low effective property tax rate compared to many other states, which is a nice benefit, but that doesn't mean life here is cheap. It's not. The lifestyle is still very expensive. And I'm going to say this with love because I know it sounds a little harsh. Nobody really feels bad for us choosing to live in the mountains of Colorado. I personally would love for things to be cheaper. Everybody would love for things to be cheaper. But at the end of the day, we chose to live in a place that's incredibly desirable. We chose to live somewhere that people vacation. So when you have limited housing and tons of people with money who want the lifestyle, prices go up. That doesn't make it easy. It doesn't mean it's fair for everyone. I understand how tough it can be, especially for locals trying to make it work, but it is the reality. Another pro, and this one is harder to quantify, but it's the community. When I first moved here, I was honestly so surprised by how friendly people were. People went out of their way to say hi, ask how I was doing, see if I needed help, invite me into things. Everybody just seemed so nice. And growing up on the East Coast, that was not always the default experience. I grew up in a small town, and my small town was pretty great, but once you got outside of that and into bigger towns, cities, and especially New York City, the energy was just different. Like, people were driven, which is awesome. Like, they wanted to work and make money and get somewhere. And at times it felt like people, they live to work instead of working to live. Well, in Colorado, we actually want to know how people are doing. We want to foster community. We want to know what's going on. How can we help? A great example is our church. We recently joined a church we really like, and one of the first things that came up on the projector screen was their monthly itinerary. They had a QR code for something called the Mob Crew. Piqued my interest. What is that? Mob actually stood for men on bikes. And I was like, men on bikes? What's this? And I explained that it was a group mountain bike ride the next Saturday. Grab your mountain bike, come join, ride with the guys. I literally could not pull my phone out fast enough. I scanned the QR code immediately. And I was like, heck yes, I want to do this. We met for a mountain bike ride. It was a bunch of men just hanging out, riding mountain bikes together. And then afterward, we sat and read the word. And I remember thinking, where else do you find that kind of community? That's the kind of thing I love about living here. People are not just trying to exist next to each other. They're trying to do life together. And I have another great story about this, but I recently helped people buy a house in Breckenridge, and they moved from Phoenix, Arizona. And they had told me that we lived in Phoenix for, I think it was about 24 years. And when they moved into their new home in Breckenridge, within the first week, they knew more neighbors in their neighborhood in Breckenridge than they ever knew in Phoenix. They said that people in Phoenix, they would just show up from their day of work, pull into the garage, close off everything, and you would never see them. So if that's not a testament to what the community is like here in Breckenridge, I don't really know what is. Now, one more con that I think buyers need to understand in 2026 is ownership complexity. This is especially true if you're buying a second home, a legacy home, or a mountain property that you're not going to live in full time. Owning in the mountains is not always plug and play. Insurance is getting more complicated, especially with wildfire risk and wooded properties. Short-term rental rules vary by town and county, and they can change. Contractors can be expensive and booked out. Snow removal needs to be arranged. If the home has a boiler, radiant heat, a well, septic, older roof, older windows, all that matters. The home can be beautiful, but if the ownership profile is difficult, it can become stressful fast. That's why when I help buyers, I'm not just looking at the finishes, I'm looking at how the home functions, whether the neighborhood actually fits your lifestyle. Because the goal is not just to buy a beautiful mountain home, the goal is to buy something your family actually enjoys using for the next 10, 20, 30 years without feeling like it's a part-time job. So let's wrap all of this up. The pros of living in the Colorado mountains are huge. The healthy lifestyle is real. The winter access is incredible. The sunshine and summer weather are hard to beat. The community can be amazing. And if you're wired for this lifestyle, it can genuinely change your life, much like it did for me and my family. But the cons are real too. The altitude can be tough, winter can be long and stressful, the cost of living is high, ownership is more complicated, and you need to be honest with yourself about whether you want the full version of mountain life, not just the vacation version. So if you're thinking about buying in the Colorado mountains in 2026, call, text, or email me, and we'll talk through your actual lifestyle first. How you ski, how you spend summers, how often you'll be here, whether you want walkability or privacy, what kind of maintenance profile you're comfortable with, and then we'll find the town, neighborhood, and home that actually fit. So there you have it. I hope you guys got a ton of value out of this video. I don't want to tell you that it's all sunshine and rainbows, and I don't want to tell you that it's all doom and gloom. I just want to give you the real story because I want you to know actually what you're buying into. And so again, feel free to call, text me, email me, whatever it is you guys have questions about. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.